She remembers you so much. Human, let's go back. The alien queen arrived at my home to take me back there. Marcus Chen rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the clock on his computer screen. It was past midnight again. He had been working in his small research station for 12 hours straight, studying samples of strange plants he had found in the mountains last week. The coffee in his cup had gone cold hours ago, but he was too focused to notice. Marcus lived alone in a quiet valley, far from any city. His research station was a simple building with big windows and lots of equipment for studying nature. He liked the peace and quiet, no traffic noise, no crowds of people, just him and his work. Most nights, the only sounds were owls calling and wind moving through the trees. Tonight felt different. Marcus stopped typing and listened. The night had become too quiet. Even the owls had stopped calling. He looked up from his microscope and noticed something strange. The bright moonlight that usually came through his windows was gone. Everything outside was dark. That's odd, Marcus said to himself. There were no clouds in the sky an hour ago. He walked to the big window that faced his backyard. What he saw made him freeze in place. A huge shadow covered his entire yard. It was not a cloud. It was something much bigger. Something that blocked out the moon completely. Marcus grabbed his flashlight and stepped outside. The cool night air felt good on his face after being inside for so long. He pointed his flashlight up at the sky and almost dropped it in shock. Above his house was a ship, but it was not like any airplane or helicopter he had ever seen. This ship was beautiful and scary at the same time. It looked like it was made of crystal and metal mixed together. Strange blue lights moved along its smooth surface like water flowing uphill. The ship was huge, maybe as big as a football field, but it made no sound at all. Marcus stood in his backyard with his mouth open. His mind tried to make sense of what he was seeing. This cannot be real, he whispered. I must be dreaming. But he was not dreaming. The ship began to move down slowly, getting closer to the ground. Marcus wanted to run, but his feet would not move. The ship landed gently in the open field behind his house. The grass did not even bend under its weight for a few minutes. Nothing happened. Marcus and the ship just waited in the darkness. Then, a door opened in the side of the ship. Light poured out, but it was not white light like from a flashlight. This light was soft and silver, like moonlight, but warmer. A figure stepped out of the ship. Marcus had never seen anything like her. She was tall, maybe 7 feet, with skin that seemed to shine with its own light. Her skin changed colors slowly, like oil on water. Sometimes it looked blue, sometimes green, sometimes purple. She had 6 arms, each one moving with grace and purpose. Her face was beautiful, but not human. Her eyes were large and purple, like deep jewels. She wore clothes that looked like they were made from liquid starlight. The fabric moved and flowed around her body as if it was alive. On her head was a crown made of the same crystal material as her ship. The being walked toward Marcus with slow, careful steps. She did not want to scare him more than he already was. When she was 10 feet away, she stopped and spoke. Marcus Chen. Of Earth, she said in perfect English. Her voice was musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. I have traveled across 3 galaxies to find you. Marcus could not speak. His brain was trying to process too many impossible things at once. An alien ship, an alien being, speaking his language, knowing his name. The alien queen continued. You saved my people once, though you may not remember. My daughter speaks of you every cycle. She remembers you so much. Human, let's go back. Marcus finally found his voice. I don't understand. Who are you? What do you want? The queen's 6 hands moved in gentle patterns as she spoke. My name is Zerthus. I am the queen of the Vethmori Empire. And you, Doctor Marcus Chen, are the human who saved my daughter's life. Marcus shook his head. I think you have the wrong person. I have never met any aliens before tonight. But as Marcus looked into the queen's purple eyes, something strange happened. A memory began to form in his mind. It was fuzzy at first, like trying to remember a dream. Then it became clear. 5 years ago, Marcus had been on a research trip in the mountains. He was studying rare plants that only grew at high altitude. On his third day, he had heard a terrible crash. Something had fallen from the sky and hit the mountainside. Marcus remembered running toward the sound. He found wreckage scattered across the rocks, but it was not from any human machine. The metal was too smooth, too perfect. And inside the wreckage, he found them, 3 beings, badly hurt and bleeding. They did not look human, but they were clearly intelligent. One was older, one was middle-aged, and one was young, maybe a teenager. The young one was hurt the worst. Marcus had not thought about what he should do. He just acted. He used his first aid training to stop the bleeding. He shared his food and water. For 3 days, he stayed with them, taking care of them, especially the young one who was close to death. On the 4th day, a rescue ship came. Not a human ship, but something like the crystal ship now sitting in his backyard. The 3 beings were taken away. Marcus never saw them again. Until tonight. The young one, Marcus said slowly. She had purple eyes, just like yours. Queen Zerthus nodded. My daughter, Princess Lyrinus, you saved her life, Dr. Chen. You stayed with her when she was dying. You gave her hope when she had lost all hope. Marcus felt his knees go weak. But why are you here now? Is she okay? The queen's expression became sad. My daughter's body healed, but her spirit did not. She has been sad for many years. She speaks of you often. She says the kind human showed her that goodness exists in the universe. But she cannot find that goodness anymore, not even in herself. Marcus understood. She's depressed. Yes, the queen said, and nothing we do helps her. She says only one thing will make her well again. She wants to see you. She wants to thank you. Properly, she wants you to come home with us. Marcus looked at the crystal ship, then back at the alien queen. His quiet life had just become very complicated. You want me to go with you? To another planet? To another galaxy? The queen corrected. I know it is much to ask, but you saved my daughter once. I hope you will help save her again. Marcus stood in his backyard, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there was a young alien princess who remembered his kindness from 5 years ago. Somewhere out there was an entire civilization. He had never imagined his life would never be the same again. Marcus stared at Queen Zerthus for a long moment. The crystal ship behind her glowed softly in the darkness. Everything felt like a dream. But the cool night air on his skin told him this was very real. Come inside, Marcus said finally. We should talk. The queen nodded and followed him into his research station. Marcus was nervous about having an alien in his small building, but Zerthus moved carefully. She had to duck under the doorway because she was so tall. Her 6 arms moved gracefully, never bumping into anything. Marcus turned on the lights and offered her a chair. The queen looked at the simple human furniture for a moment, then sat down carefully. Her flowing clothes adjusted around her like water finding its shape. Would you like some tea? Marcus asked. He needed something normal to do with his hands. That is very kind, the queen said. But first, I must show you something important. You need to understand what really happened 5 years ago. Zerthus raised one of her hands. A small device appeared in her palm, no bigger than a marble. She set it on Marcus's desk and touched it gently. The device began to glow. Suddenly, the air above the desk filled with moving pictures. But these were not like watching TV. The images looked completely real, like Marcus could reach out and touch them. It was like standing inside a memory. Marcus saw himself 5 years younger, kneeling beside a crashed alien ship in the mountains. But now he was seeing it from a different point of view. He was seeing what the aliens had seen in the memory. Marcus looked like a hero from a story. His face was determined and kind as he worked to help the injured aliens. Marcus watched himself tear up his own shirt to make bandages. He saw himself sharing his last bottle of water with the dying princess. This is how my daughter saw you, Queen Zerthus said softly. This is how we all saw you. The images changed. Marcus watched himself working through the night to keep the young princess alive. He had used his knowledge of human medicine, but he had also done something more. In the memory, Marcus could see himself thinking hard, figuring out new ways. to help alien biology that he had never studied before. Our doctors said it was impossible. The Queen explained. They said no alien could understand our bodies well enough to help. But you did not know it was impossible, so you just did it anyway. Marcus watched his younger self mixing human medicines with crushed mountain plants. At the time, he had just been trying everything he could think of, but in the memory, he could see that his choices had been perfect. Somehow, his guesses about alien medicine had been exactly right. You have a gift, the Queen said. You can understand life itself, not just human life. Our healers study for 100 years to learn what you knew by instinct. The memory showed. The moment when the rescue ship arrived, Marcus saw alien soldiers pointing weapons at him. They thought he might be dangerous. But the princess, weak as she was, had protected him. She had told them he was a friend. Marcus watched himself step back as the aliens took the princess to their ship. In the memory, he could see her reaching out to him as they carried her away. She had been trying to say goodbye, but he had not understood. She spoke of you every day after that, the Queen said. The holographic images faded away. She told everyone about the kind human who saved her life. She said you proved that goodness could exist anywhere in the universe. Marcus sat down heavily in his chair. But why is she sad now? She recovered, didn't she? The Queen's expression became very serious. Her body healed completely. But her mind, that is different. You must understand, my daughter is special among our people. She can feel the emotions of others. She can sense when someone is happy or sad or angry. She's empathic, Marcus said, understanding. Yes, this gift makes her a wonderful leader, but it also makes her suffer. After she came home, she began to feel the sadness and anger of everyone around her. She felt the pain of our enemies. She felt the fear of our people. All the darkness in the galaxy became her darkness too. The Queen stood up and walked to Marcus's window. She looked out at the stars. She says that meeting you was the only time she ever felt pure kindness. No hidden anger. No secret wants. Just someone helping because it was the right thing to do. She needs to feel that again. Marcus made tea for both of them, thinking hard. How bad is she now? She will not eat. She will not leave her room. She sits by her window and stares at the stars, looking toward Earth. Our best doctors cannot help her. They do not understand sadness of the spirit. The Queen turned back to Marcus. She says she has forgotten how to hope. She says the universe is too dark, too full of cruelty. Only you can remind her that light still exists. Marcus handed the Queen a cup of tea. She sniffed it carefully and smiled. This smells like the mountain flowers from where you saved her. It's chamomile, Marcus said. It helps people relax. They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Marcus thought about the young alien princess, alone and sad in another galaxy. He thought about how scared she must have been in that crashed ship, and how much trust it had taken for her to believe in him. What would happen if I came with you? Marcus asked. I do not know, the Queen said honestly. My people have never seen a human before. Some will welcome you as a hero. Others will fear you as something strange and dangerous. My advisors think I am foolish for coming here. And if I don't come? The Queen's face became very sad. Then my daughter will continue to fade away. She may eventually die from sadness. And my people will lose the chance to learn what you taught her. That kindness can cross any distance, any difference. Marcus thought about his quiet life in the valley. He thought about his research, his simple routine, his peaceful existence. Then he thought about a young alien princess who was dying because she had lost hope in goodness. How long would I be gone? He asked. I do not know, the Queen said again. Time moves differently between our worlds. What feels like months to you might be years on Earth. And the journey is dangerous. Not all humans could survive it. Marcus looked around his small research station. He had built a good life here, but it was a safe life. Maybe too safe. The memory images had shown him something he had forgotten. That sometimes the most important thing you could do was help someone, even when it was difficult or dangerous. Can I have some time to think about it? Marcus asked. The Queen nodded. Of course. This is the biggest decision of your life. But please, do not take too long. Every day my daughter grows weaker." Marcus walked to his window and looked out at the crystal ship somewhere in the vast universe. A young being was suffering. She remembered his kindness from years ago, and she needed his help again. He had saved her life once with medicine and bandages. Now he would have to decide if he could save her spirit with something much more difficult: hope. The weight of that choice pressed down on Marcus like the darkness of space itself. Marcus did not sleep that night. He sat in his chair, drinking tea and staring out at the crystal ship in his backyard. Queen Zerthus had returned to her ship to wait for his answer, but Marcus could see soft lights moving inside it. She was probably not sleeping either. By morning, Marcus had made his choice. He packed a small bag with basic clothes and his medical supplies. He wrote a letter to his research partner in the city, telling him to take care of the lab for a few months. Marcus could not explain the real reason he was leaving, so he just said he was taking a long vacation. When he stepped outside, Queen Zerthus was already waiting for him. She looked at his small bag and smiled. "You have decided to come," she said. It was not a question. "Yes," Marcus said, "but I want you to promise me something. If your daughter gets better, you will bring me home." "I promise," the queen said, "though I must warn you again, the journey is long and difficult. Few beings can travel between galaxies safely." Marcus looked at his small research station one more time. Then he followed the queen to her ship. The inside of the ship was even more beautiful than the outside. The walls were made of the same crystal material, but they glowed with warm, soft light. There were no sharp corners anywhere. Everything curved and flowed like it had grown naturally instead of being built. "Sit here," the queen said, showing Marcus to a chair that seemed to be made from solid light. When he sat down, it felt perfectly comfortable and shaped itself to fit his body. "Are you ready?" Queen Zerthus asked. Marcus took a deep breath. "As ready as I'll ever be." The ship lifted off without any sound or shaking. Through the crystal walls, Marcus watched his house and valley shrink below him. Then Earth itself became smaller and smaller until it was just a blue dot in the darkness. "How long will this take?" Marcus asked. 3 weeks in your time," the queen said. "But do not worry. The ship will take care of all your needs." As they flew away from Earth, the queen began to tell Marcus about her people and their civilization. The Vethmori Empire included 47 different worlds, she explained. Each world had different kinds of beings living on it, but they all worked together peacefully. "We believe that helping each other makes everyone stronger," she said. "But not all beings in the galaxy think this way." The queen showed Marcus images of her empire's worlds. Some were covered in crystal cities like her ship, others had vast forests with trees that touched the sky. One world was covered in purple oceans with floating islands, where her people lived in harmony with giant sea creatures. "It's amazing," Marcus said. "How do you keep so many different worlds working together?" "We focus on what unites us instead of what divides us," the queen explained. "Every being wants safety, food, and purpose. We help each other get these things." But as the journey continued, Marcus learned that not everything was perfect in the queen's empire. There were other civilizations in their galaxy that believed in conquest instead of cooperation. These warlike beings thought the queen's peaceful ways made her weak. "They attack our border worlds sometimes," the queen said sadly. "My military leaders want me to respond with force. They say peace only works if everyone chooses peace." Marcus thought about this problem. On Earth, humans had the same struggles. Some people believed in cooperation, others believed in competition. Finding balance was never easy. "What do you think is the right answer?" Marcus asked. "I think violence should be the last choice, not the first," the queen said. "But I'm starting to doubt myself. Maybe my advisors are right. Maybe the universe is too dangerous for kindness." Marcus heard something familiar in her voice. It was the same sadness her daughter felt. The worry that goodness might not be strong enough to survive in a harsh universe. On the 10th day of their journey, something wonderful happened. The ship entered hyperspace, which the queen explained. was a way to travel faster than light. Marcus looked out the crystal walls and saw colors he had never imagined. Space itself seemed to flow like a river of light. This is how we travel between galaxies. The Queen said, very few species have learned this technology. We discovered it by working together with other peaceful civilizations. You mean cooperation helped you develop better technology than the warlike species? Marcus asked, exactly. When you share knowledge instead of hiding it, everyone learns faster. This gave Marcus an idea, but he kept it to himself for now. After 2 more weeks, they finally arrived at the Queen's home galaxy. Marcus stared in wonder at the billions of stars surrounding them. Some were blue, some were red, some were colors he could not name. Welcome to Andara Galaxy, the Queen said, your new home. As they flew toward the Queen's homeworld, Marcus saw more crystal ships flying in formation around them. The Queen explained that these were her royal guard, making sure their journey was safe. Are they protecting us from those warlike species you mentioned? Marcus asked. The Queen nodded. Word has spread that I brought a human to our galaxy. Some see this as a sign of strength. Others see it as proof that I am foolish. Finally, they approached Vethmoria, the Queen's homeworld. Marcus pressed his face to the crystal wall and gasped. The planet looked like a giant garden floating. In space, crystal cities rose from green forests that sparkled with their own light. Purple oceans reflected the glow of 3 moons. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, Marcus whispered. But as they got closer, Marcus noticed something troubling. Many of the crystal cities looked empty. The forests had dark patches where nothing grew. Some of the oceans looked muddy instead of clear purple. What happened here? Marcus asked. The Queen's expression became sad. War happened, not on our world, but the fear of war. My people are losing hope, just like my daughter. They work less, create less, dream less. They are preparing for the end instead of building for the future. As their ship landed in the royal city, Marcus saw thousands of aliens gathered to see them arrive. But the crowd was quiet, almost nervous. Some looked excited, but others looked afraid or angry. They did not know what to think of you, the Queen explained. Humans are just stories to them. Some think you are heroes. Others think you are dangerous. Marcus realized that healing the princess would not be his only challenge. An entire civilization was losing faith in peace and kindness. If he could not help them remember why these things mattered, the princess might recover only to watch her mother's empire fall apart. The ship's door opened, and Marcus stepped onto an alien world for the first time in his life. The air smelled like flowers and starlight. The gravity felt a little lighter than Earth's. And somewhere in the crystal palace ahead of him, a young princess was waiting for the human who had once given her hope. Marcus took a deep breath and walked forward into his greatest adventure. The crystal palace rose before Marcus like a mountain made of light. Queen Zerthus led him through halls filled with floating gardens and walls that showed moving pictures of distant stars. Alien servants bowed as they passed, their eyes wide with curiosity at seeing the first human in their galaxy. My daughter's room is at the top of the palace, the Queen explained as they climbed a spiral staircase that seemed to be carved from a single giant crystal. She chose it so she could see the stars. She spends most of her time looking toward your galaxy. Marcus felt nervous butterflies in his stomach. He had traveled across the universe to help someone he barely remembered. What if he could not help her? What if she was sick? What if he made things worse? They reached a door made of silver crystal. The Queen placed her hand on it, and it opened silently. Lyranus, the Queen called softly, I have brought someone to see you. The room beyond was beautiful, but sad. Moonlight from 3 moons came through huge windows. Floating crystals provided gentle light, but the room felt empty, like a garden, where nothing grew anymore. In the center of the room, sitting by the largest window, was Princess Lyranus. Marcus recognized her immediately, even though she had grown from a teenager into a young woman. She had the same purple eyes as her mother, but where the Queen's eyes sparkled with life. The princess's eyes looked tired and distant. Her skin, which should have shone with changing colors like her mother's, was pale and gray. She turned when she heard footsteps, and when she saw Marcus, her eyes went wide. "Marcus?" she whispered in perfect English. "Is it really you?" "Hello, Lyranus," Marcus said gently. "I came as soon as your mother asked me." The princess stood up slowly, as if movement was difficult for her. She walked toward Marcus with careful steps. When she was close enough, she reached out with one trembling hand and touched his arm. "You are real," she said, and tears began to flow down her face. "I thought I would never see you again. I thought you were just a beautiful dream I had when I was dying." Marcus felt his own eyes fill with tears. This young woman had carried the memory of their brief meeting for 5 years. To her, he was not just a stranger who had helped once. He was proof that goodness existed in the universe. "I'm here now," Marcus said, "and I want to help you feel better." The princess laughed, but it was a sad sound. "I do not think anyone can help me, Marcus. I have forgotten how to be happy. Everything I feel is dark and heavy." Marcus looked around the room and noticed something important. The walls were covered with pictures and holographic displays showing suffering from across the galaxy. Wars, hunger, sadness, fear. It was like the princess had surrounded herself with all the pain in the universe. "Lyranus," Marcus said carefully, "can you tell me what you feel right now?" The princess closed her eyes. "I feel the anger of the soldiers guarding the palace. I feel the fear of the people in the city below. I feel the loneliness of old beings on distant worlds. I feel the hunger of children on planets torn by war." Marcus understood immediately. The princess was an empath, but she had no protection from all the negative emotions around her. It was like trying to fill a cup by standing under a waterfall. Too much, too fast, too overwhelming. "When was the last time you felt something good?" Marcus asked. "When I was with you," she said simply. "You were the only person whose emotions were pure. No hidden anger, no secret wants, just kindness." Marcus had an idea. On Earth, doctors sometimes help people with depression by teaching them to focus on positive thoughts instead of negative ones. Maybe he could adapt this technique for an alien empath. "I want to try something," Marcus said. "But first, can you show me how your empathic ability works?" The princess demonstrated by closing her eyes and extending her consciousness outward. Marcus watched in amazement as her skin began to change colors, reflecting the emotion she was feeling from others: red for anger, blue for sadness, black for fear. "Now," Marcus said, "instead of reaching out to feel others, I want you to reach inward and remember something good." "I do not remember many good things," the princess said. "Then remember our time together," Marcus suggested. "Remember when I took care of you." The princess closed her eyes and focused inward. Slowly, her skin began to show a warm golden color. For the first time since Marcus had entered the room, she looked peaceful. "Good," Marcus said. "Now I want you to imagine that golden feeling is like a seed. Can you picture it growing into something beautiful?" Working together, Marcus taught the princess to create what he called a memory garden in her mind. Just like a real garden, it needed careful tending. The golden memories of kindness were the seeds. With practice, she could grow them into bigger, stronger feelings that would protect her from the overwhelming negativity around her. They worked for hours. Marcus showed her meditation techniques he had learned on Earth. Adapted for her alien mind, the princess learned to build mental walls that would let in good emotions while filtering out the worst of the bad ones. "This is amazing," the princess said as her skin began to show more colors besides gray. "I had forgotten that I could choose what to feel instead of just feeling everything." But their work was interrupted by an urgent alarm that filled the palace. With flashing red light, Queen Xerathis burst into the room, her face full of worry. "Marcus, I am sorry, but we have a crisis. A war fleet from the Krex Empire has entered our space. They have 50 battleships, and they are demanding our surrender." Marcus felt the princess's emotions immediately spike with fear and despair. All their progress began to slip away as she felt the terror of everyone in the palace. "No," the princess whispered. "The darkness is coming back. I cannot stop it." But Marcus had another idea, a bigger one. He looked at the princess, then at the queen. What if the solution to both problems is the same? Marcus said. What if healing Lyranus and saving your empire require the same approach? The queen looked confused. I do not understand. Marcus smiled, his mind racing with possibilities. Your daughter's gift doesn't have to be a curse. What if we could turn her empathic abilities into a strength? What if instead of just feeling others' emotions, she could help them feel something better? The princess stared at Marcus with wonder. You mean use my abilities to help others instead of just suffering from them? Exactly, Marcus said, and I think I know how we can stop that war fleet without firing a single weapon. Outside the palace windows, the alien warships grew closer, their weapons charging for battle. But inside the princess's room, three beings from different worlds began to plan something that had never been tried before, using the power of empathy and human creativity to turn enemies into friends. The real test of Marcus's ideas was about to begin. The war room of the Crystal Palace buzzed with nervous energy. Military advisors pointed at holographic displays showing 50 enemy ships approaching their world. Their weapons were charged and ready for battle. Your Majesty, said General Vextar, the Queen's chief military advisor, we must attack now while we still have the advantage of our defense systems. Queen Zerthus looked tired and worried. How many of our people will die if we fight? Many, the general admitted. But if we surrender, the Krex Empire will enslave our entire civilization. Marcus stood beside Princess Lyranus, watching the debate. He could see that the princess was struggling to control her emotions as she felt the fear and anger of everyone in the room. But she was using the techniques he had taught her, building her mental garden to stay strong. There is another way, Marcus said quietly. The room fell silent. All the alien advisors turned to stare at the human who dared to speak in there. War Council. General Vextar, skin flashed angry red. What could a human possibly know about galactic warfare? I know about psychology, Marcus said calmly. And I know that sometimes the best way to win a war is to help your enemies understand that they don't really want to fight. The general laughed harshly. The Krex Empire has conquered 12 civilizations. They live for war. You cannot change their nature with pretty words. But Queen Zerthus was listening carefully. What do you propose, Marcus? Marcus looked at Princess Lyranus. Your daughter has the most powerful weapon in the galaxy, and she doesn't even know it. She can feel emotions, and with practice, she can share emotions too. The princess stared at Marcus with wide eyes. You want me to reach out to the enemy fleet? Not to attack their minds, Marcus explained. To share with them what we shared, the feeling of pure kindness, of helping without wanting anything in return. Show them what peace actually feels like. General Vextar stepped forward angrily. This is madness. You cannot make warriors feel peace by touching their minds. Why not? Marcus asked. Has anyone ever tried? The room erupted in arguments. Half the advisors thought Marcus's plan was brilliant. The other half thought it was suicide. But Princess Lyranus was thinking hard. It might work, she said slowly. When I was dying and you helped me, Marcus, I felt something I had never felt before. Complete safety, complete trust. If I could share that feeling, the Krex will think it's a mental attack, General Vextar warned. They will destroy us immediately. Then we make sure they understand it's not an attack. Marcus said, Princess Lyranus and I will go to their ship in person. The room exploded with protests, but Queen Zerthus held up her hand for silence. Explain this plan fully, Marcus. Marcus walked to the holographic display showing the enemy fleet. We take a small, unarmed ship, just the princess and me. We fly directly to their command ship and ask to speak with their leader. When they see we have no weapons, no defenses, they'll be curious enough to listen. And then, the queen asked, then Princess Lyranus shares her memories of being saved by kindness. Not as a weapon, but as a gift, she shows them what it feels like to be helped instead of conquered. She shows them that cooperation can be stronger than domination. Princess Lyranus stood up, her skin glowing with determination. I want to try it, Mother. For 5 years, I have felt only the darkness in the galaxy. Let me try to share some light. 2 hours later, Marcus and Princess Lyranus sat in a tiny crystal ship, Flying toward the massive Krex war fleet, the princess was nervous but focused, practicing the mental techniques Marcus had taught her. Remember, Marcus said gently, you're not trying to control their minds. You're just offering them a different way to see the universe. The Krex command ship was enormous and black, covered with weapons and armor. It looked like a metal mountain floating in space. As their small ship approached, Marcus could see enemy fighters surrounding them. Attention. Unknown vessel. Came a harsh voice over the radio. You will be destroyed in 30 seconds. This is Princess Lyranis of the Vethmori Empire. The princess said into the communicator, I request an audience with your commander. I am unarmed and I come with a message of peace. There was a long silence. Then, you have 5 minutes before we open fire. Their ship was pulled into the docking bay of the Krex vessel. Marcus and the princess were surrounded by alien soldiers in black armor. The Krex looked like humans crossed with giant insects. With hard shells and multiple eyes, they pointed energy weapons at the two visitors. They were brought to the bridge, where the Krex commander waited. He was huge and intimidating, with scars covering his armor and hatred burning in his multiple eyes. I am war leader Zakathan, he growled. You have 2 minutes to explain why I should not kill you immediately. Princess Lyranis stepped forward without fear. Because I want to show you something beautiful. Before anyone could stop her, the princess reached out with her empathic abilities. But instead of reading the emotions around her, she projected her own memories. The feeling filled the entire bridge. Suddenly, every Krex soldier could feel what the princess had felt 5 years ago. The gentle touch of someone who wanted to help. The warmth of unconditional kindness. The safety of being cared for without any selfish motive. War leader Zakathan staggered as the emotion hit him. His multiple eyes went wide with shock. Around the bridge, hardened warriors lowered their weapons with expressions of wonder. What is this feeling? The war leader whispered. It's what peace actually feels like, Princess Lyranis said softly. It's what happens when people help each other instead of hurting each other. Marcus watched in amazement. As the princess continued to share her memories, she showed them the joy of cooperation, the strength that came from trust, the satisfaction of building instead of destroying. One by one, the Krex soldiers began to remove their helmets without their armor. They looked tired and sad, like people who had forgotten how to be happy. War leader Zakathan sat down heavily in his command chair. We have been fighting for so long, he said quietly. I had forgotten there was any other way to live. There is, Princess Lyranis said, and if you want, we can show you. 3 days later, the Krex fleet joined Queen Zerthus' empire as allies instead of enemies. The warriors who had come to conquer stayed to learn about peace. War leader Zakathan became one of the Queen's most trusted advisors, helping to spread the message of cooperation to other warlike civilizations. Marcus stood on the balcony of the Crystal Palace, watching alien children from a dozen different worlds playing together in the gardens below. Princess Lyranis joined him, her skin glowing with healthy, changing colors. Thank you, she said simply, for saving my life twice. Marcus smiled. You saved yourself the second time. You just needed to remember that your gift was meant for sharing light, not carrying darkness. The princess looked up at the stars. Will you stay with us? Marcus, there are so many worlds that need to learn what you taught me. Marcus thought about his quiet life on Earth, then looked at the thriving civilization around him. Here, his skills could help entire worlds. Here, he could teach others that kindness was not weakness, but the strongest force in the universe. Yes, Marcus said. I think I'll stay. And across the galaxy, the legend of the human healer began to spread, the being who taught that the greatest victories came not from conquest, but from the courage to care about strangers from distant stars.